Welcome everyone to episode 6 of my vlogging series. Today we'll be discussing finances abroad. Last episode involved ways I was saving up, and these don't quite interchange, for me at least, on the road when it comes to finance. Now, a couple of these I believe I can do user testing a little bit, but those online sources that I was talking about previously, especially user testing and DScout, are US-based companies and looking for English speakers in the countries that they are residing in. That means I have to find other ways to make money abroad. Luckily, there's quite a few ways. Even if you don't have a specific skill set, there are many ways to make money abroad. Now for me, I did quite a bit of research. I dabbled with copywriting, I dabbled with blogging, and those weren't really for me. So what I landed on after some trial and error was ESL, teaching English either online or at a school, depending on where you are. Now I am going to Thailand, where there is a good demand for English teachers, native English speakers. So that's going to be my bread and butter. Now, whether that's a public school, a private school, or even teaching English online, that is yet to be determined. But there are steps you can take to better your chances of getting one of those jobs. Now, with ESL specifically, there are two main criteria in Southeast Asia that they look for when hiring English speakers, native English speakers, to teach at their schools and their students. First criteria, bachelor's degree. That is the number one thing that they are looking for. Now, they don't care what your degree is in, necessarily. If it's in English, of course, that is a bonus, but they're looking for that level of education, first and foremost. Now, me personally, I have a travel and tourism management degree, and that will work well enough in this scenario. Now, you could have an engineering degree, you could have a degree in psychology, you could have a degree in archaeology. They don't really mind. They just want to know that you've gone to school and that you have that degree, and they will ask for proof of it. So be ready for that. The second criteria, and this is of course if you don't have prior English teaching experience, is a TEFL certificate. TEFL or TESOL, T-E-S-O-L, or TEFL, T-E-F-L, Teaching English as a Foreign Language Certificate. Now there are many different sources to get a TEFL certificate. I personally went through International TEFL Academy based out of Chicago, Illinois, and that worked out best for me. It was a little more pricey than some of the other TEFL certifications, but they offer job seeking support and resume help and knowledge of the country you are searching for the job in. There's also an alumni program where you can network with students that are looking to do the same thing. So that's what currently I'm doing. I have a CV specifically for Thailand, teaching English in Thailand. Now, there's a whole other topic of actually landing that job, which I'll probably be discussing once I'm there and the process involved. But for now, just know that there's a whole other side of actually landing the job, getting everything you need set up. One other thing that I have done, and this was part of the search, but it was a very useful aspect of it, was a practicum. This is 20 hours on top of the actual coursework of teaching. So you have to either teach English to students by volunteering or even tutoring students in a conversational sense. That is very important, and they'll want to see that application of the knowledge when you're job searching. Those are the two main things you'll need before starting your job search, specifically in Thailand. Now, other countries will expect either more from you or less from you, but Thailand, they're mainly looking for that bachelor's degree and the TEFL certification, and of course, job experience will bump you up on the list as well. So far we have teaching English as a main source of income. The other thing you can do is teach English online. Now this is a similar process. You will need a TEFL certification. You will need that bachelor's degree, but you will not have to conduct the job search in a different country. You can simply do it online. Now this field is changing quickly, with China somewhat shutting down part of its foreign teacher programs and opportunities. So you'll see an influx of teachers coming out of China into other countries, and those online companies within China, one has already shut down and another one will probably shut down within the year. So just be aware of that. Do your research with the Chinese companies before deciding on one and investing a lot of time in that. Other side of ESL is teaching English online, which also gives you the versatility to move around and teach from wherever you are. All right, so we've covered ESL as an income source abroad. Another source is remote jobs. Now, we all know that if you're in an industry, maybe probably in a tech industry or even other industries that are moving remote due to COVID, that these jobs are plentiful within certain fields. But there's also a strong source of jobs in all fields that are remote that is growing very rapidly as well. These are jobs such as virtual assistants, customer service representatives, copywriters, translators, anything of that nature. Now, of course, these take a bit of background knowledge. They do take skill to perform, but getting into them, you don't have this huge barrier of, say, knowing how to code in a certain language. So these are great because every field needs a virtual assistant or a customer service representative, and all you would need is that professionalism, that customer support, and maybe even a background in that side of it, customer service or dealing with people on a face-to-face basis. Now there is a whole slew of resources. I've seen comprehensive lists of all the remote jobs available at this time. The sources are vast, and so just know that there's a vast resource for remote jobs as well. And I am not too knowledgeable on this side, but I know that there are plenty, and the opportunity is growing day by day. So far we have ESL, we have remote jobs, and the last one I want to touch on is seasonal work. Now, seasonal work, you really have to be there and be networking with people in the location you are. So that means getting to know the locals, getting to know people in your community, being a part of that community and really connecting with people. But if you don't have any solid plans, you can leverage these seasonal jobs and continue to travel long term. This is a fantastic way. I've ran into places in Greece, on the Greek islands, where travelers were just stopping in And guess what? They needed English-speaking servers and bartenders right there on the spot. And it's all word of mouth because a lot of it is under the table. A lot of it is cash in hand, and they don't want to deal with, visas and immigration, so they'll just pay under the table. These are great opportunities as long as you're willing to see that they are there and be willing to change your plans and stay in a place for, maybe 3 to 6 months out of the year. A very common one you'll see in this industry or this type of work is hostel work. So this is the classic exchange work for accommodation and food, and maybe even a little extra spending cash. Again, a fantastic way to meet everyone in that community, get free food, get free accommodation, and maybe even get a little spending money. This is perfect if you're working on a side hustle. Maybe you're perfectly happy, making just a little bit and meeting people and really connecting, as opposed to, putting money away in savings. That's great too. But hostels are a great source. Hospitality is always needed. If you know a lot about the area, tour guides are always in demand. And they will be soon. I'm sure COVID has knocked that back quite a bit, but give it a couple years and it will be back up and in full force. So far we have ESL, remote work in general. We have seasonal jobs. And last but not least, what I want to talk about is bartering work for accommodation and food. This is somewhat similar to the working for a hostel or something of that nature, but in a more formal sense, you are setting this up beforehand. What the website that comes to mind is workaway.info is a very common one. There's woofing, where you work on, say, organic farms. You trade labor for staying in a cool location. House sitting, which you're exchanging, upkeep in a property for room and board. The list goes on. There's tons of ways to do it, and this is a great way to extend your international travels, as well as meet new people, be in a place that you would normally not be in. Because a lot of these places are maybe in the suburbs, they'll be in a rural area, and it just opens up a whole new way of life. Because most of us, when we're traveling, we fly into a big city. A lot of us will stay just in that big city and maybe jump to the next city over. But if you're doing a work exchange, maybe you get out, go the other direction. You go into a rural area with a tight-knit community with some more rich traditions and ways of life. And that's pretty cool. And you can do that just by, signing up for workaway.info and, trying that out. Just say, hey, I don't want to pay for accommodation for a month. I got no plans. I have no plans. So let's look for a job over in this area. Maybe they need help, with a fence or, picking or harvesting crops for a year. That's also great seasonal work. So just be on the lookout for those too. And if you're really flexible, you can mix and match as you please. You can go to a location, you can do 1, 2, 3, all of these types of work exchanges, jobs, etc. Finally, I want to talk about building a business. Now, this is something I've been very interested in, and I'm trying to get into a group that has done this for a long time and know the ins and outs of starting a business while traveling. Now, again, it helps if you know an industry that you're in, But you can create an industry, you can create a job, you can make podcasts, you can create YouTube videos, you can work on something on the side, and you'll be in a fascinating area that maybe your viewers back home would find really interesting and would want to hear more about. They want to know how to get these jobs and create this lifestyle that they yearn for. Maybe they're in the beginning steps of their journey and you're a few steps ahead. So they love to hear that kind of feedback and those real life issues and how to solve them. And if you provide a service or you provide a way to help a certain group of people, that's a business. That's how you start a business. And then you just have to figure out ways to monetize it afterwards. So that's the fourth and ultimate way, I feel like, to sustain long-term travel. I hope you found this episode interesting, or at least sparked some ideas that you may have. If you did, please feel free to like and comment. If you want to follow my process as I move into Thailand and figure out all the COVID-related issues and visa issues and just getting used to a new scenario, then please subscribe to my channel. I'll be sending out these tips and trips. I do visa updates as well with the COVID pandemic and national policies changing day by day. And I also do vlogging, and we'll do more of that once I get into my destination. So look out for those, and I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be talking about, it's the 27th, so this is the first day that Thailand is opening up their e-visa process. So that is the day I will be applying for an extendable tourist visa. So stay tuned to that for tomorrow. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or good night. See you next time.